Oh, my little taffy, my little baby.
So, Hilary Taylor, welcome and
Thank you.
welcome for coming out of a taffy Davenport closet.
Thank you. Thank you.
How old were you when you made Female Trouble?
Okay, so
It was
female.
73, I think
Okay,
we
so
shot
73.
it. Yeah,
So I would have been 9 years old.
9 years old.
Yes.
And we shot that movie on Reed Street in Baltimore. And I'm trying to remember how you got the part. It was, I believe, because of your mother?
Yes, maybe.
Your mother and Pat were friends.
Yes, they were friends.
Pat Moran, who turned into my casting director, who's won Emmys and everything. At the time, she almost did everything. It was just her and me making the movie pretty much, right?
Exactly. So, and then I also befriended her son and youngest daughter because we all lived on the same street.
Brooke and Greer. Yep.
Yes, Brooke and Greer. And we lived on Tyson Street.
Yep.
And my mom and Patty knew each other. And it just happened.
And we hung around in Pat's store.
Right.
And that's how I met your mom, I think.
Right.
Who did what at the time?
I think she substitute taught at my school that actually Brooke and Greer also went to.
I see. That's another connection. Yeah.
Yep.
And you used to come up to the store too.
Yes.
Yeah. It was called Divine Trash. It was a vintage clothing store.
Yep.
And we all hung out there every day. It was a hangout,
Yep.
basically.
Yep.
And when we shot the movie, the locations were above Chuck's store. That's
Right.
where it was 2 empty floors, and that's where we built Don Davenport's apartment and
Right.
everything. Had you ever acted in anything?
No, I had not.
Did you read for it? No.
No, I don't think so.
No.
You had a willing participant, and
I remember at the time we had to be on the down low because your parents were getting separated and the police would have taken you away. I mean, like all the kids, if you look back on that movie now, I mean, your mother was, but your mom was a liberal, good mother. She wasn't like a mother that didn't watch you or anything.
no, she was, but it was just everybody knew everybody involved, and so she really didn't have any qualms.
And did you go to school? You didn't not go to school to make the movie, did you?
No, I feel like that all the scenes that I was in were filmed on Sunday mornings above Chucky's store.
Or maybe even Saturday on weekends.
Yes,
Yeah.
weekends.
And did it feel weird to you then?
Not at all. Not at all.
I mean, and we kept you away if there was ever a scene, X-rated scene, you weren't there.
Correct. Yeah.
But did you come to rehearsals?
Yes.
At where? My
at
apartment.
your
In
apartment.
Temple Gardens.
Yep.
And to you, it just was kind of normal at the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it just was not a thing, except that my mom was a little worried about, the separation and my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did your dad ever find out you made the movie?
Not that I know of.
And your whole life. So did you come to the premiere?
Yes.
But did you watch the movie?
Yes.
They let you watch the whole movie?
I think we left at some point before it was over. But
I think maybe once you became Mink in the script.
yes, probably. Probably.
But you knew Divine?
Yes.
But before the movie.
Probably from hanging out at Divine Trash.
Yeah.
Divine would show up and
So making the movie and everything, to you, you never thought it was out of whack or anything. I mean,
no, I mean, I just thought it obviously was special because most kids don't get to be in movies. And it was going to work on Saturday or
Yeah.
Sunday morning.
and hair and makeup. I mean, but Chris Mason scared a lot of people. You remember her, the hair
I
and
loved
makeup?
Chris.
I know.
I loved Chris and I loved Van, both of them.
And Van did their clothes, and Chris did the hairdos.
Yep.
And Ricky Lake said to me later, usually on a movie, the woman that does the makeup is the mother comforting figure. And Chris was quite butch.
Yes. No, she was not the mother and comforting figure. But I mean, I think it was because she treated me like an adult, like everybody else,
So everybody treated you, I think, well. I wouldn't have allowed
yeah.
anything else. But
No.
And people would never do things in front of you that would be inappropriate or anything.
Nope.
However, when did you finally see the whole movie?
Gosh.
Years later.
Yeah,
right?
years later.
But it didn't make you want to be an actress. You didn't continue in that field.
No, I didn't.
And you're a social worker today.
I'm a social worker now.
Well, maybe that had something to do with that.
I
Right.
think it might have.
And you're married. And did your husband, when did he find out?
I'd say we had been dating for about a year and a half, and he was really into film. So I finally trusted him enough to tell him, and he was
okay,
so
supportive.
very impressed.
But growing up, you didn't really tell lots of people about it.
No.
Yeah.
Not it. No. Mm-mm.
But you weren't ashamed of it. You were leaving a completely different life, so you just figured to just leave that one alone.
Yeah. The private schools of Baltimore County, that I just left it alone.
Were you ever recognized?
Not that I know of. Not that I know
Where
of.
was it that you did come up on stage with me? Somewhere.
It was in Knoxville.
It was in
at
Knoxville.
UT.
Was it a books? I forget what it was.
You were doing a lecture.
Yeah.
At the school, and so my husband and I came and saw you.
And I said that you were here and came
Yeah.
up. The fans went crazy when they saw
Yeah,
you
I was
because
like-
this is. I mean, you've never done an interview about
No.
it or anything.
Mm-mm.
So, do you remember anything? I mean, did we have food?
I'm sure there was. I don't remember being
remember.
hungry.
Well, that's good. Right. And were people like, nobody was like smoking pot in front of you or anything? Maybe.
There might have been a little pot smoking, but
Yeah.
I mean, that was going on anyway,
Yeah.
so it wasn't any.
And you remember you worked with Divine. You worked a lot of things with both Susan Walsh and Cookie, who are unfortunately
Right.
no longer with
I
us.
know.
You know?
Yeah.
And but they were fine. I mean, I just remember you were part of the gang.
Yep.
Coming upstairs, hair and makeup, everything. And the church scene, you were there.
Yep.
In the wedding.
Yes.
Well, I mean, did you, as a 9-year-old girl, think it was weird that Divine had a see-through wedding gown with bush showing?
Well, no, because I mean, it was absurd, but it was just part of the movie. So you just go with it.
Was your mother on the set? I don't really remember
No.
her.
Mm-mm.
She just let us. She trusted us.
She trusted you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then when the movie came out, she just let us downplay it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and she leaned over to me during the premiere and she was like, "Are you sure that was okay?" I was like, "Yes, it was fine." The carrying up the steps and
Oh,
the
the carrying up
screaming
the
and the
steps.
flailing.
Well, in the movie, you put your hand in the thing. Why could you want to get in there and get it over with?
Right.
But they showed me today, there's a scene, I don't remember. Do you remember this that we didn't use? Where you're stabbing a baby doll over him?
I do remember that.
I didn't.
I do remember doing that. Yeah.
It was just the scene, right?
Yeah.
And another scene I don't remember. Were you supposed to live in like a drawer of a cabinet or something?
Oh, I don't know about
There
that
was a
one.
picture of you in locked in like a little cabinet or something.
Oh, maybe I do vaguely remember that. It's been a long time.
I know. But I'm just trying to think. The main scene I remember is when Divine keeps saying, "I'm going to whip you with a car
Right.
aerial," and that. But none of that really freaked you out in
No.
any way.
I remember that car aerial.
But you never had to go to a shrink and say like, "Oh God, I was in these John Waters."
No.
Good.
No.
Good.
No,
good,
it's a
good.
very fond memory of mine,
Oh, that's
actually.
wonderful. Thank
yeah,
you.
because everybody was acting. It
Yeah.
was professional. Everybody was professional.
Yeah.
It was what we were doing.
And people look back on that movie and think we were really like that.
Right.
We weren't.
No.
But people, I mean, like Divine, you knew him. He was never in drag,
No.
except
No.
when we made the movie.
Right. Yep.
So when you finally saw him in drag, it was just you took it for
Yeah. I was like, oh, there's
Glenn.
Yeah, there's Glenn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I believe that what you say, that it all just seemed normal when we were making it, because it did to us too.
Right.
But
Right.
did anything seem strange? I mean, do you remember anything that seemed, whoa, what's that?
I remember for some reason my mom had the wedding dress in our house. She
Did
had
she
it.
help make the costume?
I think she did like repairs, or she just did quick stuff. And I remember the wedding dress being with the body, the whole
pubic-
thing. Yes.
Yeah, with the cheater, that's called.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
with
that's a merkin.
Okay, a merkin.
Yeah, yeah.
With that underneath it. And that was a little odd for my living room, but you know.
Right. So I don't know if I was ever in your house.
I don't know if you were
I
either.
just remember you came to rehearsal.
Yep.
And Pat brought you to
Yeah,
rehearsal.
Pat and Chuck
brought
brought
you
me.
to rehearsal, right?
Yep.
And then you in the shop. And that's
Yep.
where I met you. Because
Yep.
Pat's shop, you remember, she would say to people when they'd leave, thanks for not buying anything.
Yes.
And also a woman's hair caught on fire because she had a candle and
Yes.
she sold her a hat.
Oh, I do remember that.
And remember one day that somebody knocked on Pat's door and said, your son is banging on the door in the window. She had forgotten, locked him in the store and gone home. But she would have found out.
Which it was half a block away.
Half a block away.
Yeah.
I know. But that store, people used to say, dare to go in there.
Really?
Yeah, because, well, it was normal to us.
Yeah.
But you remember, it was not exactly, the customer was always right.
No,
The
no.
customer was always right. But you weren't scared of Pat, were you?
No.
Yeah.
No, she held her own, especially with us, the
Yeah.
little kids.
Yeah.
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 We had to. She wanted us to behave. She taught us manners.
Yep. That's good. You see, we raised you well.
Yes.
Right. So, what scene do you remember that you liked the best that you were in?
That I was in.
Yeah.
I really kind of I liked the jumping rope and being obnoxious.
Yeah.
That was actually really fun and came pretty naturally to me.
Yeah, you were great in that scene.
Mabel, set that table. Don't forget the red hot peppers.
Taffy, please stop it. You're giving Mother a migraine.
I can jump rope if I feel like it. It's my house, too.
You can jump rope in the bathroom.
You know it's not big enough in there.
Taffy, I have told you repeatedly, no jumping rope within 10 feet of me. Those same sing-song rhymes over and over are enough to grate on my nerves.
Mabel, set
Taffy,
that
did you hear
table.
your mother? Do you want another whipping with that car, Ariel? It's right in that closet, don't forget.
And what's other scene? Once you finally saw the movie, what scene stands out?
Well, the Christmas tree scene is great. And then, there's the scene with Divine and Divine's double.
Which was Sally Turner,
Right.
who you also knew, who was our
Right.
neighbor
Right.
on Reed Street, correct?
Yep.
And Sally, every day, got fully dressed. She looked like Elizabeth Taylor.
Yes, absolutely.
And lived in a house that was like a hoarder's house. Were you
Oh.
ever in there?
Yes.
I know. And
Pathways.
yeah, describe it.
It was literally pathways.
Through stuff that was piled up. right?
Yes.
And out she comes looking like Elizabeth Taylor.
Yes.
Yeah. And she was in the movie. She was one of the women getting her hair done in the Lipstick Beauty Salon,
Oh,
too.
okay.
But she also was the double when Divine has sex with himself. And
Right.
so Divine, we first filmed him as the woman with Sally, with her dressed in the man's outfit. We didn't see her face. Then
Right.
when Divine had to shave, get everything getting dragged, come back and shoot from the other angle.
Yes.
But you weren't there.
No,
we
I
wouldn't
wa-
have dragged you to that scene.
No, I wasn't there, but I remember thinking that somebody was talking about the logistics of the shooting of that scene, and I remember finding that very interesting.
But did you know what you figured it out?
No, I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
know, but
Yeah.
it was like I knew Sally
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I knew Divine,
Yeah.
and so
Well, see, it all became because we all hung around in Pat Moran's shop. That
Yep.
was it. That
Yep.
was casting central.
That was
really.
it.
And then I think the food came from that deli down the street. Remember what was the name of that deli?
Howard's.
Howard's Deli. It's like people would bring food back up.
Yeah, probably.
Well, did you ever see any of my other movies? And I'm not insulted if you did.
Oh no, I
Yeah.
have Hairspray,
Right.
Crybaby.
Okay.
David loves Multiple Maniacs.
Oh God, that
I
one.
know.
But it didn't. So as the years went on, the movie, and we didn't see each other. You moved
Right,
away and
right.
everything. And I did find you and talk to your mom, which was great. I hadn't talked to her in years and everything. You knew that we kept going,
Right, I did.
and were you aware that Female Trouble kept going?
No, I really wasn't. And then when you were doing your lecture and you were talking and things, I was like, well, okay, because I had no idea that
It
when
had-
you said Taffy is in the audience and people had the response, I was like, oh, really?
I know.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, they do your lines and everything. I had at this John Waters camp last year, people came dressed as you
Oh my
as a
gosh.
child.
That is
Men
impressive.
and women, both
Wow.
came dressed as you.
Wow.
And saying like with jump ropes and stuff.
Mabel.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So you knew how to jump rope anyway? then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And I drove everybody crazy.
and do you remember much about Gator?
Yes.
What?
I remember long hair,
Yeah.
skinny.
Yeah. You know, we
Uh,
found him just walking down the street.
Yeah.
And I just found him. I've never seen him since.
Are
And I
you
almost talked
serious?
him into coming today. But I think, he said, I don't care if people know. It's the same thing. No one knows in his life.
Right.
But I think he doesn't live here. And I think he just wasn't ready. I said, you sure you don't want to? Because
Yeah,
fans would love
well,
to see Gator.
Right.
I've never seen him since that day.
Wow.
Since the last day he shot, which I believe was the wedding.
Wow. How did you find him?
He was walking down the street in new Chuck.
Oh.
And we said, come here. You want to do this? I think Pat made him take his clothes off to just make sure because he had nude scenes.
Right.
And,
Yeah, he did.
but not when you were around.
No, but he did come to rehearsals.
But I do remember the rehearsals were long because there was a lot of dialogue in that movie.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I remember you always knew your lines.
Yeah, I practiced.
With who?
Mom.
Uh-huh.
My mom.
And you see, people now would look at that movie and say, what mother would allow their daughter? And Pat always said, they don't know. If the police knew about all their kids, they would have taken away. And all the kids turned out fine. So
Right.
because everybody's parents just brought them along with what they were doing.
Yeah.
Not helicopter parents. Not the
No.
kind that where you have to just succeed and be perfect and
Yeah.
everything. But just took them along. And I think everybody treated you appropriately. Well, I think you were wonderful in the movie. And
thank you.
I'm really glad you wanted to come back and have the fans. You look beautiful. And I think the
thank
fans
you.
will be really happy to see you
Well,
again.
I'm thrilled. This has been so much fun.
So next time we have an opening somewhere, a female trouble, come, all right?
Yes.
All right.
Just let me know.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.